sports, or on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
It's hard-hitting. It's riveting. It's the much-talked-about cover story during Nationwide at 5. Here Cliff Hughes get to the heart of the story of the day. Cover Story, aired 5:30 weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Nationwide at 5. Talk radio at its best. Cover Story.
Cover Story is brought to you by JTA Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
Multilink, roll with control. Use Multilink, safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the government is set to court large-scale foreign investors with upcoming legislative changes as part of its growth strategy.
If you have USD 1 billion or more to invest in the Jamaican economy, come on in. We have a number of incentives that we will be rolling out.
And Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his government remains committed to alleviating the cost of living crisis.
Though the government is not the cause of the prices going up, the government is still responsible for the management of the economy.
The Supreme Court has announced new security measures and operational protocols.
Fire chief says the brigade has made resources available for staff that may be suffering from mental health issues.
Mark Golding blasts suggestion that the government may not seek the opposition support in passing the Enhanced Security Measures Act.
In news from the rest of the world, Biden meets exiled Venezuelan opposition candidate.
Wildfire kills at least 2 and destroys 1,000 buildings in Los Angeles.
In headline sports, top names to feature in third staging of JCA T10 League, which bowls off on Friday.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, the JCF reported a 19% decline in murders in 2024. Several divisions across the country saw significant reductions. What were some of the successful strategies? We'll hear from Area 1 Commander ACP Glenford Miller.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, what's your reaction to Mark Golding's verdict that the Ministry of Economic Growth has been an abysmal failure? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
At 7, the Jamaica Egg Farmers Association is reporting that its members are still trying to recover from the impact of Hurricane Beryl in July last year. We'll hear from the association's president, Mark Campbell.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings Weathers.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile. Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, January 8, 2025.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And we begin with a developing story. Nationwide News understands a toddler is suspected to have died in a fire along Whitehall Avenue in St. Andrew. Our news team understands the child was at home with an elderly relative when their home was engulfed in flames. It's understood the child was trapped inside the building. Firefighters are on location carrying out cooling down operations. Our news team spoke moments ago with the Commissioner of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Stuart Beckford.
This afternoon, we received and responded to a call of post fire 14 Whitehall Avenue. Upper 3 unit, which was the closest unit to this location, was dispatched. When they arrived at the location, they discovered a house fully involved, and so they would have called for assistance. A unit from York Park was dispatched to lend support. During active firefighting operations, they were advised by residents that a child may have been left in the building. Unfortunately, he did not survive. During our firefighting operation, remains was discovered in the bathroom where she had gone to seek shelter from the fire. We are not at this time being able to come up with a cause. That is still under investigation.
Stuart Beckford, the Commissioner of the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
The government is set to court large-scale foreign investors with upcoming legislative changes as part of its growth strategy. That's according to Finance Minister Fayval Williams. The revelation comes as concerns mount over the deceleration being faced by the Jamaican economy. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
Despite significant improvements in the overall macroeconomic space, the country still continues to struggle in achieving meaningful growth. This has been further impacted by shocks such as the passage of Hurricane Beryl, with the country ending the third quarter of 2024 with a contraction of 3.5%. According to Minister Williams, they're seeking to attract investors with billions of US dollars to undergo large-scale growth-inducing projects.
We're saying to investors, if you have USD 1 billion or more to invest in the Jamaican economy, come on in. We have a number of incentives that we will be rolling out. These will be very transparent through the laws, through this amendment to the bill that will be coming to Parliament pretty soon.
Minister Williams says the work on the new investment incentives started under her predecessor, Dr. Nigel Clark. She says with the legislative adjustments nearing completion, it's on track to be a game changer.
I know during the tenure of the last Minister of Finance and the Public Service, he would have spoken about that. The legislative process just took a little bit longer than we wanted, but we're at that point now where I think we will soon be in Parliament with that bill, and we're looking for great things from that.
However, she also sought to assure micro, small, and medium-sized businesses they will not be left out. She says it's the government's intention to solve their access to finance concerns through a corporate bond market.
And then you would have heard businesses complain about this for a while, it's access to financing. We have done a pretty good job in terms of having an environment in which we have a robust financial sector, and that includes not just banks and brokerage companies, but the stock market as well. If you recall, the junior market was pioneered some time ago, and that has been successful.
Hugely successful.
We want to go a little deeper to look at the micro market. Now, smaller companies, because, the junior market, it's 50 million to and above that can go to the junior market. We want to look at smaller companies that do need access to the kind of risk capital that banks are not in a position to provide.
The minister was speaking with Nationwide this morning on Wednesday. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Minister Williams says the economy remains resilient despite the recent contractions in growth. The Jamaican economy shrank by 3.5% in the third quarter of last year. That followed a flat 0.2% growth in the previous quarter. While speaking at a recent constituency meeting in East Rural St. Andrew, opposition leader Mark Golding said the economy was weak and struggling. Minister Williams disagrees.
We were able to recover quickly, and that is one of the hallmark of this economy and the reforms that have been put in place. We go through these cycles, whether they're natural disaster or health disaster, but the important thing is our ability to recover in a short period of time, and that speaks to resilience in our fiscal affairs, resilience in terms of our markets, our businesses. If you look at our monetary affairs, those are all in order. Monetary meaning the Bank of Jamaica. So I would characterize us as being able to weather the various storms and come out of those and look forward to better growth.
Fayval Williams, the Minister of Finance and the Public Service.
Still on the economy, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his administration remains committed to easing the cost of living for Jamaicans.
Though the government is not the cause of the prices going up, the government is still responsible for the management of the economy. And one of the things we are committed to doing is to make life easier for the households. We are going to be spending significant resources, over $1 billion from now to the next budget, to increase our agricultural output so that you have more agricultural produce in the market, so that the price of it goes down. Transportation, another big cost in your food basket, in your consumption basket. And we have made sure to expand the JUTC into other areas so that the price that you face is a subsidized and a reduced price.
He was speaking at the National Day of Prayer on Wednesday. On Sunday, Opposition Leader Mark Golding labeled the performance of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation under the leadership of Mr. Holness as an abysmal failure. The Jamaican economy shrank by 3.5% in the July to September quarter of 2024, following a 0.2% growth in the previous quarter. In response, Prime Minister Holness unveiled a new growth initiative called Aspire Jamaica in November to address the decline. However, Mr. Golding posited that his future administration will inherit a severely underperforming economy. But Prime Minister Holness says his administration remains resolute to the prudent management of the local economy. He says this focus will be placed on bringing more young people into the country's labor force.
I know for many of you, there are still many youngsters out there who are not working, and we are going to put in place, in fact, we have put in place programs to get those youngsters into the labor force. You know what they always say? The devil find work for idle hands. The less idle hands that we have is the less hands there for the devil's work. So we are putting them in jobs.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
And speaking at the National Day of Prayer, the opposition leader Mark Golding urged Jamaicans to unite in making the country a better place to reside.
Let us continue in a spirit of hope and in a spirit of unity to bring our country together, to make Jamaica a better place for all of us to live in, for our children and our grandchildren and generations to come. We are a great people. We have many challenges, but there are no challenges that we cannot overcome if we embrace the righteousness and the Word of God and put God in the center of everything that we do.
Mark Golding, the opposition leader. Now, the Supreme Court has announced new security measures and operational protocols for its public building east. The new measures are to be implemented during the Hillary term of this year. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, has also announced cell phone restrictions for police personnel inside courtrooms. Robian Williams reports.
The Supreme Court Security Committee has outlined a comprehensive security policy aimed at enhancing the safety of all users of the court building. Key elements of this policy include access points and passes. The rear entrance in Temple Lane will now be restricted to judges, court staff, police officers, jurors, and attorneys at law. All other visitors must use the main entrance on King Street. Color-coded visitor passes will be issued, limiting access to specific floors. Visitors with matters on multiple floors will need to return to the issuing point for a new pass when changing floors. Attorneys with a valid General Legal Counsel GLC ID or government-issued ID will not require a visitor's pass. However, those without such IDs must enter via King Street, present valid identification, and receive a visitor's pass. Individuals without government-issued IDs, such as accused persons or civil litigants, will undergo verification to receive a pass. Members of the public without government-issued IDs must provide a certified letter from a justice of the peace to confirm their identity. The implementation date for these measures has been deferred to allow court users to familiarize themselves with the protocols. Meanwhile, in a memorandum dated January 3, 2025, from the Deputy Superintendent in charge of the Supreme Court, police personnel assigned to court duties are directed to restrict cell phone use in courtrooms. This directive follows complaints from judges and prosecutors during the 2024 Michaelmas term, highlighting distractions caused by cell phone use. Effective January 7, 2025, Police personnel may only use cell phones during breaks or when court is adjourned. Non-compliance will be treated as a breach of discipline. The new measures reflect efforts to improve courtroom decorum and ensure focus during proceedings. Robianne Williams for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is...
It's 15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay.
The Jamaica Defence Force invites members of the public to its sail and fly past at Victoria Pier, downtown Kingston, on Monday, January 13, 2025 at 9 a.m. Come and witness the JDF's assets in a brilliant display of military precision in the air and on the seas. Members of the public are being advised that ceremonial explosives will be utilized during the ceremony, but these will not pose any danger to lives or property. See you there.
Continuing the news, Commissioner of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Stuart Beckford, is encouraging its members to seek the necessary help if they believe they are suffering from a mental health crisis. This follows an incident on Monday in which an ex-firefighter climbed atop the Halfway Tree Transport Center in St. Andrew. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
It took a hug from a firefighter and a call from Nationwide CEO Cliff Hughes for ex-firefighter Shadane Gentles to climb down from the top of the Halfway Tree Transport Center on Monday afternoon. Mr. Gentles was clearly in emotional distress during the ordeal and was taken to the Kingston Public Hospital by law enforcement after being safely escorted down from the structure. Commissioner Beckford says while he is still yet to get in touch with Mr. Gentles, the brigade's chaplaincy unit has made contact with his family.
Well, I personally have not been able to speak to him. He is an ex-member, and so once he was brought down from the transportation center roof, he was taken into custody by the police and was subsequently turned over to the mental health team that turned up on the scene there from the Kingston Public Hospital. And to the best of my knowledge, he has been in their care since. My chaplain and the chaplain unit would have been in touch with his family. As I speak to you now, I'm not sure of the latest development in relation to his status.
Commissioner Beckford says the Jamaica Fire Brigade has made resources available for staff that may be experiencing episodes of depression or mental health issues.
There are protocols that have been established. The truth is we sometimes are not allergic to these situations until persons decide to act in a particular way. One of the challenges we face as a society is the issue of mental health is not something that persons are readily or openly want to discuss. The stigma that is attached to the issue of mental health. The minute you speak to that, persons believe that you are calling them mad and so on. So even where persons are having issues, they tend not to come forward and alert their supervisors or even their relatives of the issues that they're having until they reach a boiling point, so to speak.
The commissioner is calling on firefighters in need of mental help to reach out for these resources.
So there is a system in place. Are we going to be able to catch everybody and prevent what we may have seen? Maybe not, but we continue to work with our partners and to ensure that as far as it's practicable that we reach as many members as possible. But we also want to encourage our members where they have challenges that they bring these to the fore so that they can be addressed in a forthright manner. There are avenues for that. If you don't believe that you want to talk to one of your peers, or you don't want to talk to the chaplain or a member of the chaplaincy unit, we have made available to you other resources that you can access. So it's just for persons to take up that phone and make that phone call to say, I'm struggling with this matter and I need some assistance.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Opposition leader Mark Golding says he's disappointed with the suggestion that the government may not seek the approval of the opposition in passing the Enhanced Security Measures Act ESMA. Speaking during a tour of Manchester on Wednesday, Mr. Golding says the suggestion by the National Security Minister is divisive.
Get to hear them, in greater detail. The spokesperson for national security, in an article in the Vienna newspaper this week, put some of those ideas on the table. And, I'm very disappointed that the Minister of National Security has said that the ESMA, the Enhanced Security Measures Act, can be passed without the opposition. We have been calling for the Enhanced Security Measures Act for years. We have not seen anything about it for over 4 years.
The ESMA will formalize the power to interdict individuals who intelligence determines are the greatest threat to society. Speaking recently with Nationwide News, the National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, says there's been little consensus with the opposition on the act. As such, he says the government may have to proceed unilaterally on the matter. However, Mr. Golding says the opposition has been calling for the act but has not been consulted about it. He says it's important for all stakeholders to buy in for effective crime fighting.
And we have put forward on the table a specific mechanism for targeting serious violence producers on whom there's credible intelligence to try and address the building of cases that can lead to an effective prosecution of those persons. We want to see that in the ESMA legislation. We don't know what's in it. We've not been consulted. But we need to have all hands on deck in this fight against violent crime. So for the Minister of National Security to be preempting the situation without having consulted with us, without having briefed us on what he's proposing, and to say that they can pass it without the opposition is very unfortunate, because it's a divisive approach. And we really need Team Jamaica, all Jamaicans on board, all well-thinking Jamaicans on board, to get ahead of this crime monster that's plaguing our nation.
Mark Golding, the leader of the opposition.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
President Joe Biden has called exiled Edmundo Gonzalez the true winner of the Venezuela's presidential election last July after meeting him at the White House on Monday. In a social media post, Biden said Venezuela deserved a peaceful transfer of power. Gonzalez fled to Spain in September after turmoil following Venezuela's election in which incumbent President Nicolas Maduro claimed victory. Gonzalez and many sections of the international community dispute Maduro's claim. According to Reuters News, the Maduro government has reacted to Monday's meeting with fury, calling it grotesque. He has accused President Biden of backing a violent anti-democratic project.
In the United States, at least 2 people were killed and tens of thousands under mandatory evacuation orders as multiple blazes raged out of control in Los Angeles. Out-of-control wildfires in the area raged for a second day, with a diminishing water supply and ferocious winds complicating firefighting efforts. Officials caution that 4 ongoing fires have already reduced more than 1,000 buildings to ash. LA's Fire Chief Kristen Crowley says the 4 blazes are 0% contained and stretching responders to their limits. One of the wildfires began on Tuesday morning in an affluent neighborhood west of downtown LA and had exploded to nearly 3,000 acres by night. LA officials are asking area residents to conserve water. The White House says the California National Guard will contribute 2 modular air firefighting system units, and a total of 6 more would be sent by the Nevada National Guard and the Department of Defense Northern Command. The Pentagon is also sending 10 Navy helicopters with water delivery buckets to help with aerial support.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the government is set to court large-scale foreign investment with upcoming legislative changes as part of its growth strategy.
And Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his government remains committed to alleviating the cost of living crisis.
Supreme Court announces new security measures and operational protocols.
Fire Chief says the brigade has made resources available for staff that may be suffering from mental health issues.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
And listeners, you can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payment until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payment until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. Hyundai. For free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
The Jamaica Defence Force invites members of the public to its sail and fly past at Victoria Pier, downtown Kingston, on Monday, January 13, 2025 at 9 a.m. Come and witness the JDF's assets in a brilliant display of military precision in the air and on the seas. Members of the public are being advised that ceremonial explosives will be utilized during the ceremony, but these will not pose any danger to lives or property. See you there.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The third staging of the Jamaica Cricket Association JCA T10 Cricket League is set to bowl off on Friday with 6 teams down to participate. There'll be 2 games per day from January 10 to 25, all to be played at Sabina Park. Matches are scheduled to start at 11 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. The 6 participating teams are Surrey Kings, Surrey Royals, Surrey Risers, United Stars, Cornwall Warriors, and Middlesex Titans. The squads will be announced on Thursday and will include a number of the Jamaica Scorpions representatives as well as several other local stars. Friday's opening games will see Surrey Royals facing Cornwall Warriors at 11 before United Stars battle Surrey Kings at 1:30. New Zealand crushed Sri Lanka by 133 runs in Hamilton today to surge into an unassailable 2-0 lead in their 3-match one-day international series. Rashin Ravindra, 79, and Mark Chapman, 62, put on 112 for the second wicket to help steer the Kiwis to 255 for 9 in 37 overs in a rain-reduced game. Daryl Mitchell chipped in with 38 as Mahesh Thishakana starred with the ball for Sri Lanka. He bagged a 4 for 44, including a hat-trick. In reply, Sri Lanka's top order crashed and burned and could not recover from being down 22 for 4 inside the first 5 overs. They eventually fell for 142 in the 31st. Kamindu Mendes was the standout batter for Sri Lanka. He got 64 as Will O'Rourke ended with 3 for 31 and Jacob Duffy 2 for 30. Cricket West Indies announced the women's squad to compete against Bangladesh in the upcoming inaugural bilateral white ball tour of the West Indies, January 19 to 31. The tour will feature 3 CG United one-day internationals and a similar number of T20s, all scheduled to take place at Warner Park in Basseterre St. Kitts. This marks the West Indies women's first ever bilateral series against Bangladesh, and it is Bangladesh's first bilateral series tour of the Caribbean, as both teams continue their preparation for the upcoming ICC event. The 2 teams last met in the group stage of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup in 2024 in the UAE on October 10, where West Indies women secured an 8-wicket victory at the Sharjah Cricket Stadium. The squad to be led by Hayley Matthews and, of course, Jamelia Glasgow and Sherian Foster, who recently had stints. They've also been included as stints in Tasmania. The other members of the squad are Charmaine Campbell, Alia Alain, Larissa Crafton, DeAndre Dotting, Afif Fletcher, Shabiga Kednaji, and Chanel Henry. Zadie James, Kiana Joseph, Mandy Mangru, Ashmini Munisara, and Karishma Rakhmarak are also in the squad. Jamaica's national under-17 football team registered their second win of the Torneo del Sol competition, beating Liga Premier by 3-1 in Mexico today. Seymour Reed has been prolific all tournament long. He scored all 3 goals today. It's up to 5 goals in the tournament in 3 games. The win means Jamaica advance now to the quarterfinals of the competition. Tottenham Hotspur beat league leaders Liverpool 1-0 at the Tottenham Stadium in London today in the first leg of their Carabao Cup semi-final tie. Swedish international Lucas Bergvall scored the winner on 86 minutes.
Solanke, Bergvall! An incredible time to pick your moment to score your first goal for the club. Bergvall, who Liverpool might argue is lucky to still be on the pitch, has the Tottenham fans in ecstasy here because he's given them the advantage in the first leg of this semi-final.
And the teams will meet again in the second leg on February 6th. That game to be played on Merseyside at Anfield. And that will do it for sports. We'll be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you.
The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackhammer. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, free parts and free repairs. Free parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
More savings, more choices. Get active with Active Home Center. The one-stop shop for everything for your home. We have more savings, more choices, unbelievable prices. Wide selection with the latest style. The kitchen, bathroom, right down to the tile. Buy the hottest items on spot, don't miss out. Best options under one roof, no doubt. More savings, more choices.
Visit us in store or online at www.activehomecenter.com.
We have more savings, more choices.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Taboo topics,
Bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Informative, educational, insightful. Let's talk justice. Tackling topics like constitutional rights and reform, domestic violence, and rights issues that affect you. Let's talk justice every Monday from 1 to 2 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Call in, share your thoughts, be empowered, know your rights, and let's talk justice, ensuring access to justice for all, courtesy of Jamaicans for Justice.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payment until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payment until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. For free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. Thank you for joining us for the Cover Story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Lewis. How are you, Siobhan?
Doing quite well, actually. How are things
Wonderful.
over there in Canada?
Good. We are going to have the cover story, as you indicated, and we're looking on the crime stats for 2024, and senior communications strategist at the Jamaica Constabulary Force, that's Dennis Brooks, says the significant reduction in murders for 2024 is a morale boost for all police personnel. Jamaica recorded a near 19% reduction in murders for 2024. According to the JCF's crime report, up to December 28 last year, 1,138 murders were recorded.
That's 265 fewer murders compared to 2023. SSP Brooks says the reduction was achieved through a multi-pronged strategy.
Last year, at this time, we were talking about an 8% reduction, and at that time, there was a motivation to go below that 1,000 mark. And in the policing plans of every division, there were targets and thresholds that were focused on trying to get to a particular goal in sight. Some of the times it seems like an aspirational goal, but in the end, we ensure that our goals and objectives are smart.
That Senior Superintendent Dennis Brooks, he is the JCF Senior Communications Strategist. Well, apart from the overall decline, some police divisions recorded significant decreases in their murder figures, and one of those divisions is the Area 1, led by ACP Glenford Miller, who joins us now. Good afternoon, ACP Miller.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
Before we get into it, Mr. Miller, let me just read some statistics here. They're quite an achievement for Westmoreland. That is a 13% decline in murders, 16 less than we had in 2023. For Hanover, there was a 33% decline, 24 less than we had in 2023. And for St. James, another 33% drop, and that is almost 63 less than we had compared to 2023. So it seems Area 1 is quite the success story, ACP Miller. What is the secret sauce?
The first part of it, I should say, thanks be to God, first and foremost, for the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to understand what was actually happening within the area, and for us to actually implement strategies and tactics to actually deal with it. And thanks also to the team of Area 1, and the team, not just the team of police personnel, but the team of JDF personnel, because the police and the military work very closely within Area 1 and for the citizenry. of Era 1, those law-abiding persons who want to see an end to crime and violence and actually supported the work of the police within the space. And for our various stakeholders, I just want to say thanks to them for 2024 being such a successful year for us in Era 1, which we hope to even better in 2025 year.
Mm-hmm. And we know that St. James and Westmoreland especially, those two parishes, it has been extremely tough. Are there any particular programs or operations or even community initiatives that you would have done, your division would have done to help to this massive reduction that we've seen?
Yes, other than the deliberate policing strategies, just to let the wider Jamaica and the persons listening online know that within St. James and Westmoreland, which is two of the toughest, as you would have mentioned, policing divisions within Era 1, we also have a zones of special operation within these two policing areas. There's a zones of special operation in St. James in Mount Salem and Norwood, and in Westmoreland we have one in Savannah Lamar. And there are programs within these zones of special operations that we actually use to see how best we can actually curb and steer away the youth and these persons within these areas from crime and violence. And these initiatives have helped us greatly, especially the one in St. James. There's a big football competition in St. James where within the zones, these warring fractions that we know them for over the years, they are engaged in a football competition within the spaces within Mount Salem and Norwood. And just to note also is that the Mount Salem and Norwood zones of special operation has seen 0 murders for 2024.
That's quite an achievement. Yeah. So tell me, ACP Miller, because I'm happy you brought up the ZOSO. You could say that Mount Salem and St. James is really the pilot case, as it was the first area that was declared as such as a zone of special operation. And you believe that that has helped significantly in reducing the tensions and essentially the violent crime in that area.
Yes, I believe so, because these are some of the, these are these are some of the toughest areas within St. James that actually give, we have seen a lot of persons being killed within these areas, friends killing friends, gangsters warring against gangsters. And I can tell you, since the implementation of the zones of special operation and the initiatives that put in within the zones of special operation, we have seen significant reduction, and as I just mentioned, that we reach 0 murders within the zone. So yes, the zones are working.
And what about cooperation from those individuals within the community, the various communities? Because for a long time we've been talking about community policing, but we also know that there is a trust gap. Have you been able to improve on that, where the citizens can trust your men and women on the ground?
I believe that the trust gap has improved significantly, because the persons within these areas trust us so much that whenever there is an issue within these communities, any one of the warring fractions, they actually come to us, because no one wants to disrupt what is happening within the zones. So they would have come to us and said, listen, man, this is something on the ground. You need to put some things in place to let us stop it before it escalates. And our CSS persons and the zones of special operation within the Mount Salem and Norwood area that is led by DSP McCarthy himself and his team, and also with the help from the era CSS and the St. James CSS, would have actually gone in and have some conversation with these persons, and we try to bring them to the table and say we can make peace reign. And I can tell you, it has been working.
I know lotto scamming and gang activity in particularly St. James in that parish was quite a challenge between 2016 heading into 2019. Have you been able to essentially stamp those two problems out, essentially to achieve this St. James reduction of 33% in murders across the board?
I will not say stamp it out, because we're still having challenges where gang activities and scamming is concerned, because we have arrested several persons for scamming within the space. We have the supporting team, the Lateral Scamming Task Force, that is under CTAC. They are actually, we have a team that is based in Era 1 and give us a lot of support also. We have arrested several scammers within the space. And we have gang conflicts within the spaces also, where several of these gang members were actually murdered by their friends or were arrested by the police.
But have you been able to get a grip of that gang situation? Because across the country, when you speak to those within the high command, you hear that the biggest challenge that the police they have is that of gangs. For your area, the area that you cover, that's Hanover, Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, have you been able to get a grip of the gangs and, try to bring that under control?
I will not say bring under control totally, because most of our murders within Area 1, and when I say Area 1, I'm talking from Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. They are gang-related murders. So there's still a gang issue within the area. We have somewhat bring it under control, but it is not there as yet. It is still a work in progress, and we will continue to do our best to see how best we can actually make Area 1 that safe space where everyone wants to live, work, do business, and raise their families.
Stay with us, ACP Miller. We're up on a break.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
15 minutes to 6.
Label Crafts Jamaica Limited offers exceptional finishes that will make your product extraordinary at an affordable cost. The Temperature, brought to you by Label Crafts Jamaica Limited. The #1 choice for label printing is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and 27 out west in Montego Bay.
The management and the staff of the Jamaica Customs Agency extend the very best wishes to you and your family for a safe, peaceful, and enjoyable holiday. Whether you're effecting clearance at the port, traveling to and from the airport, or undertaking other transactions, we urge you to travel safely, use good judgment, and stay within the speed limit. We thank you for your support throughout 2024 and look forward to a healthy, prosperous, and productive new year. Happy New Year! From Jamaica Customs.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the cover story. We are talking to the head of the Area 1 Police Division, that's Assistant Commissioner of Police Glenford Miller. His area, which covers Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney, is one of the significant success stories of 2024, recording double-digit decreases in murders across 3 of the 4 parishes, with Trelawney essentially being the same compared from 2023 to 2024, and other categories of crime down significantly in the parish, such as shootings, robberies. Quite the achievement for the Area 1 Police Division, which had been, for much of the last decade, one of the most troubled areas for policing in Jamaica. So, ACP Glenford Miller, in terms of the overall strategy in the Area 1 Police Division and how that strategy was implemented, what were the highlights in terms of bringing these matters under control?
One of the biggest things that would have actually utilized in 2024 would have actually increased our investigative capabilities. And we would have seen in 2024 where 65% of the murders within Area 1 was actually cleared. So it shows that there's a 65% chance of you being arrested if you commit a murder within the area. And that was coming from 40% in 2023. 25% increase, a big increase, and that is very commendable for our investigative team. And that was something that helped us because it is always important to actually bring these persons to justice and put them behind the bars and give them their date so that they can answer in court to the crimes that they would have actually committed. And this helps us greatly.
And also, as you celebrate the success, how has this reduction in crime impacted the morale and the operational focus of the officers under your command?
I can say this: the men and women under my command, they are very upbeat, and they are committed to the task, and they are looking forward to see how to renew that energy for 2025, and see how best we can actually further reduce these murders, especially the murders, because I know that the murder is one of the number one problem within the country. So we want to further reduce the murder figure within Era 1. And as I said, make Era 1 become the safest place within Jamaica. That is what we're aiming for this year. And this is what we need, the support of all the persons within Era 1 to help us to make it be achievable.
When he was on earlier this week, your senior communications strategist spoke to the knock-on effect as you make arrests and you remove the troubled individuals from the space. It tends to lead to even further successes. Are you feeling that there in Area 1 where you see more people willing to come forward to the police because they feel safer engaging with the police and not being concerned about retaliation?
We have seen a big improvement where that is concerned, understand, because persons are more comfortable and feel more secure in relation to, I know, as you mentioned, the trust issue. I can tell you the trust issue has improved tremendously within Era 1, because whenever a crime takes place, and this is why the 65% clear up is so important, because persons know that there is a high possibility that when they report anything, action will be taken. And that is what persons are looking for. And that is what we are giving to our citizenry within Era 1.
Mm-hmm. And the measures now for 2025, talk to me about some of those measures that are in place to sustain this positive trend as we move into 2025.
There are several measures that are in place, and some of these measures I will not...
of course, we understand that you can't give us the full details, but just general terms.
But one of the things for sure, though, our public order aspect of the operational activities, this is something that we're trying to get a good grip on, the public order, to ensure that our public spaces, we actually continue to keep them safe and clear. And especially we're having some traffic issues also, because where there is disorder, there's a great opportunity for crime. So we're trying to fix these areas, especially in our major townships. So our deployment, if you are looking at it, our deployment has ramped up. And I know you'd have heard our Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake, would have spoken about it. Under the management of ACP Gary McKenzie, the beat officer patrol aspect of policing has been launched in Era 1 also. So we have our beat officer patrol in St. James, where you see a lot of police officers on the public thoroughfare, especially in the major township. We have that in St. James, and this is something that we are intending to extend in the next 3 divisions within Era 1.
And that's what I would like to ask you, ACP. I know Montego Bay, St. James particularly, is really one of those fast expanding towns due to the tourism boom.
Yes,
do you find that the JCF, in terms of its manpower and its other capabilities, are expanding into to keep up with that expansion or otherwise?
What I'll say, I know our commissioner is doing what he can do. Yes. To ensure that the manpower is actually expanding to keeping up with what is happening within the country. He's doing his best.
Mm-hmm. And I know you spoke just generally of the support from residents in Era 1, but can you just speak generally of how can residents in Era 1 continue to support the police in maintaining this downward trend?
I continue. I will just use this opportunity also now, as I mentioned it, to actually solicit the support again of our residents for 2025 and thank everyone for their support in 2024. Our lines, most of the residents within Era 1 would have actually known my number, 316-6946. They can continue to call me. They know the other numbers for the commanding officers. As I will always say to our residents, there are police officers out there. Sometimes you're not comfortable with some of us, but guess what? There's always that one police officer that you can trust. Call that police officer. If you cannot call that police officer, there's the custos, there's the mayor, there's the justice of the peace. Call these persons and they will communicate with us. and we will take the necessary various actions to ensure that security and safety is brought to your area.
And is there any specific strategies that you employed in Area 1 that you feel could be emulated in other police divisions that may be having more significant challenges, especially areas such as Mandeville, Manchester specifically, where they now seem to be running into this matter of lotto scamming over there due to, I suppose, their now increasing profile and expansions as Montego Bay had seen in the past?
Since you have mentioned scamming, what I would suggest, openly, because as area commanders, myself and all the other area commanders, we have a good rapport. We actually share ideas also. But what I can mention for Area 3, as you would have mentioned it, is to have a lottery scamming task force, just like what I have in Area 1. They might need one over there in Area 3 also.
And just generally, I know we're focusing on the matter of murders, but how does the reduction in the murder rates influence the approach in tackling other types of crime in Area 1? Because I'm sure there are other types of crime which may have been of concern to you.
Yes, there are several other crimes that have been of concern to us. We have the robberies, we have the break-ins, and we have the rape, we have the larceny, we have the assaults. These are all the type of crimes, plus you have other crimes. You have the assaults and the woundings. So these are all the crimes you can think of are of concern to us. But we try to deal with them on the level that they are on and implement the necessary measures to actually deal with them. And as I said, our community safety and security persons actually assist us, not just from the area level, because all divisional commanders have some community safety and security persons under their control. And for you to note also, we have the school resource officers that we have actually placed in the schools. So we are trying to impact even the youngsters to ensure that even if these gangsters are criminals, are trying to influence them into crime. We have our police officers there with them. We reform youth club in school. So there is a myriad of things that we are trying to utilize, because sometimes we don't know which one of the tools is the best tool. So we use all the tools to ensure that we actually impact all the persons as much as possible.
That is Assistant Commissioner of Police, ACP Glenford Miller. Thank you for joining us, ACP
You're
Miller.
welcome. And thanks for having me.
All the best for 2025. We hope that the reductions that you've seen here on paper, they translate further as we go into 2026, and they're even better than what you saw here for 2024.
Thank you very much for having me.
All the very best.
Okay, then.
It's quite a thing, isn't it, Sanjay? Because I remember not too long ago, just before the first state of emergency was declared down there in St. James, the citizens were so fearful. The gunmen were acting brazenly in broad daylight. The murder rates and the calls for action. And, well, on paper, and based on what the ACP is telling me, whatever they've been doing is working. Just to tell you again, listeners, in Westmoreland, a 13.8% decrease in murders, moving from 116 in 2023 to 100. In Hanover, that's a 33%, moving from 72 in 2023 to 48 in 2024. St. James, the real troubled parish, as it were in the past, moving down by 33.5% from 188 murders in 2023 to 125, whereas Trelawney remains flat, but Trelawney only recorded 24 murders both in 2023 and 2024. So, while no life being lost is a good thing to see, but 24 overall for our parish, it still remains one of the lowest in terms of murders across the board in terms of any police division in the country. So overall, the Area 1 police should be commended. The residents of Area 1 should be commended as well for cooperating with the police and bringing about this significant achievement.
Yeah, especially because we know Westmoreland and St. James, they have been the tough areas to deal with. So we really have to commend the police force for what they have done in Area 1 and hope that the community members, everyone will continue to give that support so that we can continue to see the reduction that we have been seeing across the board with regards to crime. And as Professor Clayton had indicated last week, it's not something that we can't see a big drop as much as we want to see that in a short time. But if we can continue to get this reduction, this major reduction, then we can celebrate the successes that we're seeing here in this country.
Yeah, I mean, based on the numbers, repeating something like this over the next 2 to 3 years would essentially bring murders in that division into, if not double digits, single digits in some of these parishes. So
that's
can
exactly
you imagine?
what he said. If we can continue to at least get 13% or more every year over the next couple of years, it's something major that we can celebrate. So, I mean, I'm very grateful. 13% or higher, that's what we're aiming for. If we get higher, even better for all of us. But, you know, we have to be realistic also.
Yes, definitely. Well, that is the cover story, listeners and viewers. The headlines are next, and then we come back here at 6:40 again to talk with you.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. A 4-year-old died in a house fire in Whitehall Avenue, St. Andrew on Wednesday. It's understood the child was at home with an elderly relative when the house became engulfed in flames. Commissioner of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Stuart Beckford, provided an update with our news center.
This afternoon, we received and responded to a call of house fire 14 Whitehall Avenue. Upper 3 unit, which was the closest unit to this location, was dispatched. When they arrived at the location, they discovered a house fully involved, and so they would have called for assistance. A unit from York Park was dispatched to lend support. During active firefighting operations, they were advised by residents that a child may have been left in the building. Unfortunately, he did not survive. During our firefighting operation, remains where it was discovered in the bathroom where she had gone to seek shelter from the fire. We are not at this time being able to come up with a cause. That is still under investigation.
Stuart Beckford, Commissioner of the Jamaica Fire Brigade. The government is set to court large-scale foreign investors with upcoming legislative changes as part of its growth strategy. That's according to Finance Minister Favour Williams.
We're saying to investors, if you have USD 1 billion or more to invest in the Jamaican economy, come on in. We have a number of incentives that we will be rolling out. These will be very transparent through the laws, through this amendment to the bill that will be coming to Parliament pretty soon.
The revelation comes as concerns mount over the deceleration being faced by the Jamaican economy. Minister Williams says the economy remains resilient despite the recent contractions in growth.
We were able to recover quickly, and that is one of the hallmark of this economy and the reforms that have been put in place. We go through these cycles, whether they're natural disaster or health disaster, but the important thing is our ability to recover in a short period of time. And that speaks to resilience in our fiscal affairs, resilience in terms of our markets, our businesses. If you look at our monetary affairs, those are all in order. Monetary meaning the Bank of Jamaica. So I would characterize us as being able to weather the various storms and come out of those and look forward to better growth.
Favour Williams, Minister of Finance. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his administration remains committed to easing the cost of living for Jamaicans.
Though the government is not the cause of the prices going up, the government is still responsible for the management of the economy. And one of the things we are committed to doing is to make life easier for the households. We are going to be spending significant resources, over $1 billion from now to the next budget, to increase our agricultural output so that you have more agricultural produce in the market, so that the price of it goes down. Transportation, another big cost in your food basket, in your consumption basket. And we have made sure to expand the JUTC into other areas so that the price that you face is a subsidized and a reduced price.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Opposition leader Mark Golding says he is disappointed with the suggestion that the government may not seek the approval of the opposition in passing the Enhanced Security Measures Act, ESMA. Speaking during a tour of Manchester on Wednesday, Mr. Golding says the suggestion by National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang is divisive.
Get to hear them, in greater detail. The spokesperson for national security, in an article in the Gleaner newspaper this week, put some of those ideas on the table. And, I'm very disappointed that the Minister of National Security has said that the ESMA, the Enhanced Security Measures Act, can be passed without the opposition. We have been calling for the Enhanced Security Measures Act for years. We have not seen anything about it for over 4 years.
The ESMA will formalize the power to interdict individuals with who intelligence determines are of the greatest threat to society. Mr. Golding says the opposition has been calling for the act, but has not been consulted about it.
And we have put forward on the table a specific mechanism for targeting serious violence producers on whom there's credible intelligence to try and address the building of cases that can lead to an effective prosecution of those persons. We want to see that in the ESMA legislation. We don't know what's in it. We've not been consulted. But we need to have all hands on deck in this fight against violent crime. So for the Minister of National Security to be preempting the situation without having consulted with us, without having briefed us on what he's proposing, and to say that they can pass it without the opposition is very unfortunate, because it's a divisive approach. And we really need Team Jamaica, all Jamaicans on board, all well-thinking Jamaicans on board, to get ahead of this pride monster that's plaguing our nation.
Meanwhile, Mr. Golding says the PNP is anticipating a historic victory in northeast Manchester with its standard bearer, Valentin Winter.
We did very well in this constituency in the recent local government elections last February. And we see it as one which a historic victory is possible for us. And so I was invited to come and visit Christiana and other towns and districts here today. And I'm very happy to be here with our candidate, Valentin Wint, our councillors and our mayor of Manchester, and of course, Comrade Paul Patmore from neighbouring South Trelawney. So yeah, it's a good day, and we are well received here in Christiana, and very pleased to be with the people on the ground.
Mark Golding, opposition leader. Work has started along Spanish Town and Mannings Hill roads in Kingston to address poor road conditions. It commenced on Tuesday and will continue over the course of the next 2 weeks. The work is being done under the REACH program. Manager of Communication and Customer Services at the National Works Agency, NWA, Stephen Shaw, says while the bulk of the rehabilitative work will be conducted outside peak traffic hours, motorists are being advised to proceed with caution along roadways. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shaloy Smichael. Sports is next.
Plug into the sun with Peak Energy Solutions. We are your affordable provider for everything solar. Grid tie or off-grid solar P systems, solar air conditioners, panels, lithium batteries, solar supplies, and installation. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hills, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Taboo topics. Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings. Each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Boyatings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The third staging of the Jamaica Cricket Association JCA T10 Cricket League is set to bowl off on Friday with 6 teams down to take part. There'll be 2 games per day from January 10 to 25, all to be played at Sabina Park. Matches are scheduled to start at 11 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. The 6 participating teams are Surrey Kings, Surrey Royals, Surrey Risers, United Stars, Cornwall Warriors, and Middlesex Titans. The squads will be announced on Thursday and will include a number of the Jamaica Scorpions players as well as several other local stars. Friday's opening games will see Surrey Royals facing Cornwall Warriors at 11 before United Stars battle Surrey King. New Zealand crushed Sri Lanka by 133 runs in Hamilton today to surge into an unassailable 2-0 lead in their 3-match one-day international series. Rachin Ravindra, 79, and Mark Chapman, 62, put on 112 for the second wicket to help steer the Kiwis to 255 for 9 in 37 overs in a rain-reduced game. Daryl Mitchell chipped in with 38 as Mahesh Tishankna starred with ball for Sri Lanka. He bagged 4 for 44, including a hat-trick. In reply, Sri Lanka's top order crashed and burned and could not recover from being down 22 for 4 inside the first 5 overs. They eventually fell for 142 in the 31st over. Kamindu Mendes was the standout batter for Sri Lanka with 64, as Will O'Rourke ended with 3 for 31 and Jacob Duffy 2 for 30. Cricket West Indies announced the women's squad to face Bangladesh in their upcoming inaugural bilateral white ball tour of the West Indies, January 19 to 31. The tour will feature 3 CG United one-day internationals and a similar number of T20 games, all scheduled to take place at Warner Park in Basseterre St. Kitts. This marks the West Indies women's first ever bilateral series against Bangladesh, and it is Bangladesh's first bilateral series tour of the Caribbean. Both teams continue their preparation for upcoming ICC events. The 2 teams last met in the group stage of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup last year in the UAE, where West Indies women secured an 8-wicket victory at the Sharjah Cricket Stadium. Previously, their last T20 clash was on November 9, 2018 at Guyana's Providence Stadium during that year's ICC Women's T20 World Cup, also in the Caribbean. Coach of the West Indies team, Andre Kohli, says the team was preparing for whatever conditions they encountered when they take on the host Pakistan in a 2-match test series at the Multan Cricket Stadium starting January 17. The Windies will play a 3-day warm-up match starting on January 10. Kohli says the players are focused on giving a good account of themselves.
Everyone is looking forward to it. It's always good to play in different conditions. We talk about test cricket. It is not only the opposition skill that provide tests, but, different conditions, different environments, different game situations provide, those tests. And that is why you want to play at this level. That's why you want to play this format, to test yourself over 4 or 5 days, because the game could change so rapidly. So we're all looking forward to the series, and then the week leading up to the test match, preparing the best possible way, batting, bowling, fielding, ensuring that we hit all the areas and we are comfortable ahead of the test.
And Kohli says the tour gives new players an opportunity to cement their place in the first team.
Different people in the squad who would have missed out on opportunities before. Use this as an opportunity to be better and do it in conditions that, in some instances could be different. We have seen in the past where, Pakistan would have prepared pitches that were good for batting. They would have assisted pace. And then most recently against England, prepared a surface that is spun. So for us, it's about us preparing, whether it is a pace or a spin-friendly track, that we are equally prepared.
West Indies Test team coach Andre Coley. Jamaica's national under-17 football team registered their second win of the Torneo del Sol competition, beating Liga Premier by 3-1 in Mexico today. Seymour Reed scored all 3 goals for the young Reggae Boys to take his tally to 5. The win means that Jamaica are now through to the quarterfinals. Tottenham Hotspur beat league leaders Liverpool 1-0 at the Tottenham Stadium in London today in the first leg of their Carabao Cup semi-final tie. Swedish international Lucas Bergvall scored the winner on 86 minutes.
Solanke, Bergvall! An incredible time to pick your moment to score your first goal for the club. Bergvall, who Liverpool might argue is lucky to still be on the pitch, has the Tottenham fans in ecstasy here because he's given them the advantage in the first leg of this semi-final.
And the teams will meet again in the second leg on February 6 at Anfield. English Premier League campaigners West Ham United today fired their Spanish coach Julian Lopetegui after less than a year in the job, and with Premier League club in danger of being dragged into a relegation fight. Lopetegui paid the price for a run of just 3 wins in his last 11 games, with West Ham 14th in the standings and just 7 points above the relegation zone. The club said the first half of the 2024-25 season has not aligned with their ambitions, and the club has therefore taken action in line with its objectives. The former Spain and Real Madrid coach replaced David Moyes in May and was expected to drive the club to new heights, but that has not materialized, and recent heavy losses to Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester City sparked increased speculation about Lopetegui's position. Media reports said former Chelsea coach Graham Potter was in talks to replace Lopetegui. The U.S. anti-doping agency USADA says it fully supports the U.S. government's decision to withhold a payment of $3.6 million to the World Anti-Doping Agency. It comes amid an ongoing dispute over the handling of a doping scandal involving Chinese swimmers. It emerged in April that 23 Chinese swimmers were cleared to compete at the Tokyo Olympic Games in 2021 despite testing positive for a banned substance months earlier. USADA Chief Executive Travis Tygart said defaulting was only the right choice to protect athletes' rights, accountability, and fair competition. In a statement, he added that WADA left the USA with no other option after failing to deliver on several very reasonable requests, such as an independent audit of its operations to achieve the transparency and accountability needed. The Global Anti-Doping Agency responded by saying representatives from the U.S. would now be ineligible to sit on its foundation board of executive committee. In April, WADA said it was not in a position to disprove an assertion from the Chinese anti-doping agency that they had unintentionally ingested a heart medication, Trimetazine, which can enhance performance. That sparked an outcry from Western anti-doping agencies and athletes, with USADA suggesting a cover-up, a claim WADA rejected as completely false and defamatory. It said it had been caught in the middle of geopolitical tensions between the USA and China. An independent investigation found WADA did not mishandle the case or show bias towards the Chinese swimmers. However, the U.S. lawmakers then accused WADA of failing to investigate the allegations properly and introduced legislation giving the White House the power to cut funding. The U.S. has been WADA's highest government funding partner since it was formed in 2000 and will host the next 2 biggest global sporting events, the 2026 Men's FIFA World Cup and the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. And finally, in sports at this time, Antonio Pierce is the latest NFL head coach to lose his job after being sacked by the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders finished bottom of the AFC West with a disappointing 14 8-13 record this term. Former Pro Bowl linebacker Pierce took over as interim coach in 2023 before taking permanent charge of the franchise for the 2024 campaign. NFL analyst Jerome Jarrett says Pierce's dismissal follows that of Gerard Moyo, who was sacked by the New England Patriots after the conclusion of the regular season.
Both coaches are African-American coach, which raises, again, the question of whether or not African-American coaches are given enough opportunities to succeed after we see several white head coaches are being retained after having disappointing seasons, not being fired. But nevertheless, in my opinion, both firings are justified. Both gentlemen have not lived up to expectation as head coaches and as such has met their fate.
Jarrett says several other teams are seeking to fill their head coach position.
There is significant movement in the coaching carousel recently as the Bears have been active trying to find their new head coach. The Jaguars also fired Doug Peterson as the head coach, and they're also actively searching for a head coach as well. And a number of other teams continue to spin the coaching carousel as the playoffs get underway.
Jerome Jarrett at Sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
29 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 27 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Cliff Says is by far the most popular mid-morning radio segment in Jamaica. Cliff Hughes shares his views on the hot-button topics of the day, editorializing on various issues in the news, breaking news stories, and expounding on stories. Cliff Says sets the tone of the show for the rest of the day. Join the award-winning journalist Cliff Hughes weekdays during Cliff Hughes Online at 10 to 10:30 a.m. Join the revolution in media.
Cliff Says is brought to you by Educom Credit Union, providing value through service, and Hyundai, modern premium affordable vehicles.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We ask you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. An abysmal failure That's the assessment from opposition leader Mark Golding regarding the performance of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation under the leadership of Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Golding made the remarks at a recent constituency meeting in East Rural St. Andrew.
We have a government that has suddenly decided that it's time to pivot to growth. But this is the same government that established a Ministry of Economic Growth. We've had a ministry called Economic Growth for 9 years. And who is in charge of that ministry? The Prime Minister himself, Andrew Holness. And it's a mental failure. So much so that in 2024, we had negative growth. And we had negative growth not only because of Beryl, but before Beryl, for the months leading up to it, the economy has been getting slower and slower.
Mark Golding, opposition leader. So in public opinion this evening, we're asking, what's your reaction to Mark Golding's verdict that the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation has been an abysmal failure? Yeah? To the comments on our Facebook platform, I'll start there. Joe Black saying, we have seen record amount of jobs being created. Even him got a job as opposition leader with the highest salary. All right. Fabian Smith says he, as the opposition leader himself, is the biggest failure. Anthony Sheikh says Golding just refuses to state the facts. It's getting hard to listen to this man. Cleveland Richards saying, I keep saying this man is not his own member. Okay, all right. George Alwood saying, Mark, the constant flip-flopper. I understand that it would be difficult for him to admit. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Shins for Life is saying, Mark will never get the chance to be a failure or success. Clifton Ricardo is saying, remember he was speaking to comrades. Tell us the bad policies and what you would have done differently and how COVID played a part in this. Salome Paul is saying the biggest failure is the one speaking. Jermaine Donovan is saying, okay, let me see if I can get in a few more. Elorita Mitchell saying PNP members are experts on failures. Nikki is saying that he needs to go study about how a country is to be run. Michelle Bernard saying the truth, he was addressing the Rise United comrades, not the general public. Dwight Venn is saying lowest unemployment in history. And Philip Jackson believes that this is another of the usual trickery. All right, let me see if I can get to some of the comments on our Instagram platform. Willie Ryan Wilson is saying that it is okay to call out the failures of the administration, and that's exactly what Mark has done. The problem is that too many shy away from this fact due to political allegiance. It's a failure. Yeah? Karen saying that the numbers don't lie, and the fact that he made the speech only proves that he is not in touch with what is going on in Jamaica. Vivi is saying that this opposition leader, Mark Golding, is really out of touch. Dang Abbey is saying Jamaica's economy, social issues, infrastructure can answer that question for you. Failure is a nice way of putting it. Barrington is saying that Mark Jefferson Golding is 100% correct. All right, let me see if I can get in a few more off of our X platform. Don Messi saying Mark Golding, the lowest unemployment rate ever, meaning more jobs were created, high income per capita, revenues up to end of October quarter were over projections, more investments in infrastructure. How could he honestly come to that conclusion? Andre Lawrence is saying that it is easy, how easy it is to criticize from the sidelines when you're not the one actually in the game. As a lawyer, talking is his strongest tool. It's what he's trained to do, talk. But let's be real, delivering results has never been part of his job as opposition leader, has it? All right, Kiz is saying that his opinions are irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Let Let me see if I can get in a few more. Grace Davidson saying, what do we as people consider growth? 1, 2, and 3%? Most are not feeling it, hence the problem. The little minimum wage jobs are not doing much at all. Jamaica needs real sustainable growth. Too many are suffering. If you're just joining us, we're inside the court of public opinion. What's your reaction to Mark Golding's verdict that the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation has been an abysmal failure? June D saying, honestly, think he knows better. Can one person get up and just tell lie? All right. Let me see if I can get in the comments on our YouTube platform. Bear with me. All right, let me see. Denzel M says, out of touch Mark. Yeah. Let me see if I can get in a few more. John Clark says, Mark is no good. Sims Jason, I wonder who is the maker of the run. Oh, wow. Who is the maker of the rum? All right, let me see if I can get in a few more. I'm trying to get the ones that aren't so, Trevor Dixon says, Mark full of mess. Gloria Johnson believes that Mark Golding is the greatest failure. Patrick is also of that view. Marcus the Best is saying objective analysis, failure, yes. Beverly Samuda is asking, what can go so? And Dr. Scar is questioning, failure? Really? Please reconcile lowest unemployment rate in decades. David Nabar says, I don't think he go to school nowhere. The only failure coming from Killian Henry. The only failure is Mark Golding, and that's a fact. All right, let me see if I can. Roby can't find the don't it? I am searching through. I don't want, do not want. Isa Mario, you really and truly see what I'm doing here. Vassal Williams says Mark Golding is not speaking the truth. Yeah. Norman, let me see. Norman Collins says Golding is making a nonsensical statement. His reasoning as a lawyer sounds like a layman talking. All right. Let me see. Kirk is saying for the 20 million, I pay Mark. Which policy had he piloted? All right. RBS Motivated says as long as people have work, they can save from the little they earn. And Angie believes that Mark is having a nervous breakdown. Is going to have a nervous breakdown come 2025, the general election. Yeah. Let me see if I can get in a few more. The non-libelous ones, I have to be very careful. It's election period, yeah? We're in the season for it. Some would call it the silly season. Let me see. Delroy Simpson says, Mark Golding glass want to change. It's getting foggy. All right. Let me see. This is Mark Golding that say the economy is going in the right direction. I have the video. All right. Mona Smith says enough people miss the handout. Yeah. If you're just joining us, we're asking, what's your reaction to Mark Golding's verdict that the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation has been an abysmal failure? Jason Johnson laughing his face off, saying failure. Y'all just read between the lines. He was talking about his hairline. All right. Wow. A lot of comments coming in on this one. I'm trying to find the ones that actually are fit for ear. Bear with me. Barry Lewita says, if you don't want minimum wage, please go get yourselves education so you can get higher pay. Heart is free. You can't profession pay. Okay, profession pay. Education, step up in a life and educate. Loxley Gregory is saying Mark is spot on. Yeah? And we'll end the comments there. I'm getting the wrap-up signal. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited,
Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:32.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today.
The temperature by IQ Optical is
28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. Gas prices will see a slight increase effective Thursday, January 9. That's tomorrow. The state-owned oil refinery Petrojam says E1087 is to move up by $1.78 per litre, and a litre of E1090 will also go up by $1.31. Automotive diesel oil will move up by $2.87 per litre. Ultra-low sulfur diesel will increase by $3.06 per litre. The price of kerosene will go up by $3.06. In the meantime, propane cooking gas will go up by $2.33, while butane will move up by $1.23 per litre. Further afield, the pound has fallen to its lowest level for 9 months after UK government borrowing costs continued to rise. The drop came as UK 10-year borrowing costs surged to their highest level since the 2008 financial crisis, when the bank borrowing almost ground to a halt. Economists have warned that the rising costs could lead to further tax rises or cuts to spending plans as the government tries to meet its self-imposed borrowing target. The government said it would not say anything ahead of the official borrowing forecast from its independent forecaster due in March. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 156 Jamaican dollars and 77 cents to buy $1, 194 Jamaican dollars and 71 cents to buy £1 British pound, and 109 Jamaican dollars and 62 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. And that's the Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. Good evening.
It must stop. It have to stop. Gang violence is not the solution to our problem. It will only cause pain and suffering. Let's find non-violent ways to solve our conflict. Let's work together to create a safer and peaceful Jamaica. Let's all live good.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business is...
Public opinion.
Stop this foolishness about this GLP and PMP business. We are a Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a GLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Are you ready for it?
Revo. Coming soon.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Informative, educational, insightful. Let's talk justice. Tackling topics like constitutional rights and reform, domestic violence, and rights issues that affect you. Let's talk justice every Monday from 1 to 2 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Call in, share your thoughts, be empowered, know your rights, and let's talk justice, ensuring access to justice for all, courtesy of Jamaicans for Justice.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With this thing of Honey Bee.
And Karim Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you said?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It's 6:40 and it is time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. So we're turning our attention to a matter that of eggs and its shortage here in Jamaica. And that's because the Jamaica Egg Farmers Association is reporting that its members are still trying to recover from the impact of Hurricane Beryl in July of last year. The association's president, Mark Campbell, says the egg industry has struggling to supply eggs since the passage of Beryl. He says when the hurricane hit Jamaica, there were about 1 million layers in stock across the country.
However, Mr. Campbell says there is now a shortage, and he joins us now to discuss further. Good evening, Mr. Campbell.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Campbell and Mr. Lewis.
That's correct.
Good evening.
So what exactly is the situation now, Mr. Campbell? How serious is this shortage?
Quite serious. I am just leaving an all-island meeting of farmers, which we had in Ocho today. And the numbers that we are looking at, we seem to be short throughout Jamaica by an equivalent of about 3 or 4 40-foot containers of eggs. That's about 4,000 cases of eggs that we would need to fill the current demand. A case of eggs carried 30 dozens. So if you're looking at 4,000 cases, that's quite a significant amount of eggs that's absent from the market, from the supermarket shelves, and locally, generally speaking, in the retail industry. And in some of the some sectors of the hospitality industry as well, that the shortage is manifesting itself there.
Mm-hmm. And help us to understand, what are the main challenges your farmers are currently facing in rebuilding their stocks?
Well, the main challenge in terms of rebuilding or replacing would be the availability of the young pullet. The good news is that starting next week, one of the main suppliers of pullets will be putting new pullets on the market. The total number that will be going out as young birds, these are the birds that will lay you at a productivity level of between 90 and 95%, compared with those older birds that are laying as low as 60% productivity, which is poor, and that is a very non-productive bird. It's actually costing the farmer more than what they can make out of it. The only unfortunate thing is that we were not in a position to access the total number of birds that will start going into the market. But it is good news. That is good news. That some young layers will be going into the field starting next week, and this will continue basically for the rest of the year up to November.
And how soon after those young pullets are in the field, as you indicated, will they start producing eggs?
Well, they actually they are delivered at what you call a point of lay, so they should come laying at a very low rate, around 1 or 2, or between 1 and 5% productivity. But within a matter of 6 weeks, a month, 4 to 6 weeks, they will hit 90% productivity. So in another month or so, their presence in the market should be felt. But as I indicated, we were not able to access the numbers that will be going. And it will take a significant number, maybe 200,000, 300,000, to really make a difference at this time.
And so how many, and for the parlance, the pullets, how many of these do you actually need? And based on that assessment, how long before you believe that you're up to full capacity in the market?
Let us look at it this way. The real problem started with the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Beryl created significant damage to the birds. It traumatized the birds. These birds are very sensitive. Everything has to be consistent for the birds. So you can't disturb them in the houses where they are. You can't disturb them in any way. So this wind and this excess water that really affected them immediately caused a cut in the production. We had estimated at the time that it would take maybe a month or so for them to return to full production. But that estimate turned out to be very wrong, because they never returned to where they were. And so after that, we were looking forward to the new birds that went into the field between August of 2024 and November. Some 260,000 new birds went into the field. And we were heavily dependent on those birds to fill the slack or the gap. They did what they were supposed to do. They're laying at 90 or so percent. But then you have to look at the other 750,000 birds that they're trying to balance out with. And so that balance has not been created because the 750 old birds that went through the storm, every day that passes, they get older. And as they get older, their productivity declines. So it is a very, very, very difficult situation that we are in until new birds. I estimate that it will take another 500,000 new birds to create a balance, and those have to enter the field within the next 6 months or so.
So we're looking at quite an extended downtime. Well, not downtime, but quite an extended period of time where you'll not be up to full production.
Well, if the numbers coming out from the pullet producers, and those numbers, I am told, have been made available to the Ministry of Agriculture, if the numbers are sufficient, we should be. I have made several predictions about this egg thing ever since the storm, and everyone has been wrong. So I am very reluctant to make any further prediction, given that I do not have all the data. I do not at this time know exactly how many new birds, but only new birds going into the field can correct this imbalance that is there now.
And based on what you're saying, you had 750,000 birds. The supplier indicated that they will put 250,000, which means that you need 500,000 more birds. Have you been in dialogue with the supplier just to get an understanding as to when they will release those 500,000 birds to normalize what is currently happening?
No. Remember, it was one of the suppliers who provided us today with the information that their numbers have been sent to the ministry, but they never stated the number. Mm-hmm. The 550, 600 that we're talking about, it is my calculation that we need that number to balance things out. If we get that number within a short time, and there are challenges, there are huge challenges getting, this industry is heavily dependent on imports. All these eggs that are hatched in Jamaica to become laying birds, they are imported. And there is a challenge sourcing these imported hatching eggs right now. So we do not know exactly where things will end up. There is a big challenge, and all parties, all stakeholders are working towards resolving this issue. I think we can only hope for the best. We do not know the numbers. The larger number of birds, there are two sets of birds in the field, the young ones, which have gone out since this hurricane, and the older ones. The older ones they make up the larger number, say about 700,000, 750,000, and their productivity declines daily. So we really need immediately to see the younger birds coming on stream in large numbers, in hundreds of thousands.
Have you been able, Mr. Campbell, to get an idea as to how the egg shortage affected consumers and businesses such as bakeries and restaurants?
Yes, I have a clear idea because we have had a number of meetings with, I would say, all of the major bakeries. It has affected them quite severely and significantly. And we have agreed with them on a way forward. that they can continue to produce.
What's that way forward?
We have reluctantly agreed to a small amount of imports for the time being.
Mm-hmm. And that will, in a sense, help with the shortage that is currently facing the country.
Definitely.
And what does that mean
It's
for
a
the
position that we have not gone to with haste or with pleasure, because we have not had, Jamaica has held up with some pride the fact that we have not had to import eggs for a number of years. I think up to about close to 20 years, we have not had to import eggs. The egg industry has delivered to the Jamaican people, and we have been proud. The quality of the eggs produced in Jamaica now is quite comparable to what you will pick up in any developed country. As you can see, the beautiful packaging that you see in some of these supermarkets now. Many of the producers have some very good brands out there. And you buy a dozen eggs, you can go home confidently and break it into your frying pan knowing that it is good and fresh. So we have been proud of that. So at first, when this thing started to manifest itself, we were very reluctant to contemplate the idea of import. But we have recently decided that given the realities on the ground, we will have to agree to a small amount. Not the shell egg, but the powder for those in the baking industry. We consider that for the shell eggs, I say should. Some people don't like when I use the word should.
Mr. Campbell?
Mm-hmm. You left us there for a brief minute, Mr. Campbell. But you were saying that some people don't like when you use the word should, and I don't think we heard the rest of that statement.
They would like me to say will, but I'm not able to speak so confidently given the reality that we have faced and the fact that I have made several predictions about when things would normalize, and those have not materialized.
But given the challenge, Mr. Campbell, why not allow for individuals and support the shell eggs being imported to help with the shortage that we are currently facing?
But we have two situations. That's very challenging. First, we might not be able to find the eggs because where we in the past, when we have had to import, we have looked to the United States. That's the only country where we feel that we can safely import from without running into some of the difficulties of eggs that might not be up to the quality that we need. And the second is that the price of eggs in the United States now, we might not be able to access it at a price that we can sell back on the local market to the consumers at an affordable price. The price is quite high in the United States now, and the availability might just not be there. So we have that. So we have agreed some amount of the powdered eggs which the bakeries can use, and we feel that should satisfy the demand at the moment, and for a limited period going forward.
And what about the cost to the general consumer? Should they expect any fluctuations, or with the demand for the manufacturing side of things, would that essentially free up the shell eggs for consumers to enjoy the relatively low prices that they're currently at?
Yes, I think so. It's one of the things we hope for because despite the shortage, there has not been a significant upward movement in the price locally. Even where it's in the supermarkets where the shelves are either empty or significantly depleted, you do not see any huge change in an upward direction of the price because we are very conscious. The producers of eggs in Jamaica, they're very conscious of the role of eggs, this very significant role that eggs play in the diet of the Jamaican people, and we are quite bent on keeping it at an affordable price.
And I see a question here on YouTube, which I actually had it on my mind as well, because with a lot of these importation restrictions, there's concerns of bringing in foreign diseases that could wreak havoc on local industries. Are there any such concerns when it comes to eggs being imported into the country?
Yes, very significant concerns, and that is why earlier I had hinted at the fact that we would only approve from sources that are free of certain diseases that can be associated with eggs. So all of these, if any importation of eggs, it's not a loose situation. They would have to pass certain tests to qualify for to be brought into Jamaica. So in the past, where we have imported from proven sources.
And as you look forward, Mr. Campbell, is the association exploring alternative farming methods or technologies to reduce the impact of similar events in the future?
Yes, I think quite a number of farmers have embraced certain technologies now in their productive systems. Quite a number of farmers have now moved into cages. They have removed the birds from off the ground, and they're in cages, which are significantly more efficient systems of production. It's a house that would normally, you would place maybe 1,000 birds in these cage systems that are now automated for feeding, automated for egg collection, automated for water, for dispensing water to the birds. These new systems, the same house that would hold, say, 1,000 birds can hold 3 times that number. So your efficiencies are higher, and that's part of the reason you have not seen any great movement in the upward direction of the price of eggs, although the supply is not there to meet the demand that is there. So the consumers have benefited from these efficiencies in technology that have been introduced by a number of farmers across the country. Several farmers have put in these new systems, and so they are operating at a better level, and it is beneficial to all parties. A win-win for the producers and for the consumers.
That is Mark Campbell. He is the president of the Jamaica Egg Farmers Association, just giving us an update on the egg shortage affecting the island. Thank you so much, sir, and all the best for 2025.
Thank you very much, and the same to you.
All the best.
So we take a short break, listeners, and when we come back, we're going to take your calls early this evening. So the numbers are 630-9371-4 and 618-8255. Come chat with us.
GK1 now introduces third-party motor insurance from GK General Insurance. Download and log into the GK1 app, then select one of 3 affordable third-party options. The time by GK General Insurance is...
It's 7:02.
It's flu season. Take DPH adult or children's formulation and eliminate your sniffling, coughing, sneezing, and itching. The temperature by DPH, minimize the symptoms, maximize the relief, is...
It's 28 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and 27 out west in Montego Bay.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. Seeking the elusive prosperity in 2025. When we wish someone a prosperous new year, we are wishing them better than they had in the past. We are wishing them progress. Progress is a little understood concept today. Assessing Jamaica's progress, or lack thereof, becomes a simpler matter when one understands the purpose for which governments exist. The primary purpose is to provide opportunity for people to collectively and individually pursue and find success and happiness. What that looks like could vary slightly in the eye of the beholder, but it should at least incorporate some simple scenarios, such as a man and his beloved holding hands as they watch the sun dip below the horizon from the relative safety of a secluded beach. A young couple pursuing the attainable goal of owning a home, having healthy children, and educating them in good schools. People having the reasonable expectation of living a full, dignified, and prosperous life in a harmonious society, then dying in their beds from old age or an incurable illness. Putting politics aside, I ask, is Jamaica progressing socially and economically to your satisfaction? In his last public address to an annual conference of the People's National Party, national hero, the Right Honorable Norman Washington Manley, left us a context within which to measure the nation's progress under future governments. This is what he said. I quote, "I say that the mission of my generation was to win self-government for Jamaica, to win political power, which is the final power of the black masses of my country from which I spring. I am proud to stand here today and say to you who fought that fight with me, say it with gladness and pride, mission accomplished for my generation." And what is the mission of this generation? It is reconstructing the social and economic life of Jamaica. End of quote. The verdict is in on whether succeeding governments have attained that high mark. In his New Year's address to the nation, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, while giving a balanced assessment of Jamaica's progress under his stewardship, gave the assurance that, having heard the people's cry, this year would be a pivotal chapter in the journey toward a better Jamaica. For his part, Leader of the Opposition, Mark Golding, in his address spoke of the need for fresh beginnings and for the country to step boldly into tomorrow with purpose and determination. Jamaica awaits the fulfillment of this line from our national pledge, so that Jamaica under God may increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. End quote. Until then, talking about prosperity and progress of the nation just because the year on the calendar has changed is just that. Talk. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
The Jamaica Defence Force invites members of the public to its sail and fly past at Victoria Pier, downtown Kingston, on Monday, January 13, 2025 at 9 a.m. Come and witness the JDF's assets in a brilliant display of military precision in the air and on the seas. Members of the public are being advised that ceremonial explosives will be utilized during the ceremony, but these will not pose any danger to lives or property. See you there.
Good evening, listeners. We're into the third and final hour, and as I said, we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. And before we go to our first call, just a reminder, listeners, to keep your thoughts for the people in California. They're having a serious issue with wildfires which are running rampant throughout Los Angeles. I understand 4 currently are affecting that area, with 2 people dead, and according to news reports, they expect that number to rise significantly before the evening is out. So just keep the people of LA, California, thoughts and prayers as they try to handle this crisis. Well, Richie, good evening. You're on the line.
Good evening, sir. I'm Mr. Sanjay.
Good evening, Richie. How you do?
Good. I mean, talking about California, we have Jamaicans out there, you know.
Yes.
We have Jamaicans everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, man. So, just have to hope for the best for them. For ourselves as well. Yes, Mr. Sanjay.
Yes.
What did Sheban asked about Canada again a while ago? Sheban?
Ask how are things in Canada. I know that.
That's really brethren.
I travel between Jamaica and Canada, yes.
So you're in Canada now?
Yeah, I travel between Jamaica and Canada.
Okay, I'm not envy you especially at this time, brother. Because wildfire, it was taken up America and Canada is freezing cold. Anyway, I listened to an interview with Turner and George with Peter Bunting. Mm-hmm. And he said that we have not had a new police vehicle in years. He said again, if we had the amount of money that this government have, crime will be down, how much percent or whatever, crime will be down rapidly. And he went on to talk about poverty. So I'm asking Peter Bunting, if he's telling us that he is one of the Fresh Prince, he can't tell me that he's one of the Fresh Prince, you know?
You know,
because
I've heard that comment from Peter Bunting more than once, and it goes back to the very thing that I've said, Richie. You see this matter of crime and what we're seeing? Mm-hmm. We just want the politics out of it, because every one of us will benefit if we see crime reduce. So this thing about if who was in power and what, it's not serving any of us at all.
I agree. But the point I'm making is making it look as if, this government is not doing enough in crime, and they were doing enough. That's my point. Mm-hmm. Because they have not had a vehicle in many years, a new police vehicle.
But is it the fault of the current administration or the fault of his administration? I don't think it's an argument that really should be put forward that, if we had X, we could have done Y. There's no point in making such an argument.
Exactly, that's the point I'm making.
You run the innings that you have to run, and...
That's the point I'm making. What they're doing is playing politics. Because to me, they're trying to tell people that we did not have that, we that have not because Because of what? Who's the cause of it?
And if Jamaica had the U.S. budget, I'm sure we could do make quite a few strides as well. So we have to run the innings with what we have. That's simply it.
But look, here what is my problem? I can't continue to listen to them play the politics. Because this government inherit 380 gangs from them.
They didn't inherit the gangs from
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't go so far to say it's from them. Over time.
Richie.
Richie.
The gangs.
So don't play the same game that Mr. Bunting is playing at this moment.
No, I'm not playing the same game, but I'm talking about the way they're putting it, making it, as if they did everything that was right and this government is doing everything that is wrong. That is my problem. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. This government inherit 380 gangs and bring them down to 140. And he's making it look like, under the administration, things was going pretty, and this government is going wrong, and that is my problem with them. They just keep playing politics as if they're trying to take every sense of people whole.
Peter Bunting is trying to win an election. I don't like it to be done in the matters of something as important as the crime fight, but he's trying to win an election.
He's trying, but listen, be careful, the brethren. You see, for people who do not understand, he's misleading them. So I have to talk with people who know the truth, who does know the truth. Mm-hmm. Mark Gordon come again and talk this and that, and I keep telling Mark Gordon for the longest while. What you must tell the people who you're misleading what's going to do when you win election, because they decide to win election at all costs. You see, understand what I'm saying?
Which is one of the things that I've said, over the many years. We play the politics, and when we're on the other side, that's the opposition, whoever is in opposition, we do all of these things. We burn it down, and then when we come into power, what is it that we're gonna have? And it's really annoying at times when I watch both sides play the politics. It's not serving any of us, the interests of any of us as Jamaican people.
I agree. That's the point I'm making, because look at it this way, Britain. Margot and the PMP doesn't have a good plan for the country. And they are trying, and that's what they need to come and tell the people. They decide to win the election at all costs, And until they can't tell people what we're going to do. Tell the people that they're misleading as a matter of fact, because they can't tell we that. They need to tell the people what they're leading and misleading what they're going to do to them when they become government, and they can't talk. You see me? So,
well, Richie, the hour is upon us, and I think as we get closer and closer to that very significant date, I think both parties are going. Well, the government is going to have to give an account as to what they've accomplished, and I think the People's National Party is going to have to say what they will do and give concrete ideas as to what that will be. So the hour is upon us, Richie.
Okay.
Bookman, good evening.
Yes, sir. Evening, sir. Sir Sevan.
Good evening, Bookman.
I'm Sir Louis.
Yes, man. How you do?
Yes, man. Give that thanks, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, when Mark Walden talk, man, it kind of trouble me again, brother.
Why?
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
This man is a failed businessman, man, Peter Bunting. Them for them business are closed down. In the BVI and in the Bahamas. And they want to run Jamaica. You understand? Which is a bigger thing. Tell the man to shut up his mouth and stop over talking, brother, because he takes people for fool. You understand? The man might do them best. I even that the man now raising the taxes for the people them. The man might try around the country. You understand? You understand? That's how I want to purchase when I borrow nothing. And the man he might go around and educate the people and some stupid way to tell them pay foolishness. All the people them on the paper that talk about the man take gold money. They want to $3 trillion. What kind of nonsense that?
I don't know if the Prime Minister. I don't know if Mark Golding said that. I heard that nonsense being put out there by. Yes, I know. I heard that nonsense being put out by surrogates in the People's National Party, but I don't want us to suggest that Mark Golding said that specifically.
No, man, listen up, Siobhan, man. He not tell the people them because he here too, and he not tell them to stop it. And not no butter. How comes the Prime Minister to take both money? The Prime Minister did a work at SSL. The man $3 trillion and still around the country without taxes. That man's a genius. Without raising no taxes. Tell the man said, a stupidness Mark Golding go on. I rum talk, man, I talk to the man.
You see,
Chevron,
Papa
answer me,
Reg,
no, man.
No, we do our best here at Nationwide
Yeah.
News to fact check both
Brother,
political parties, you know.
You can in there where you are big up Chevron, you on Ricardo, them Gina Calder, them know what them are doing, you know. Them put the narrative there out there in the people in head, you know. And them adjust it properly, you know. You understand? And it's out there. Tell the man, the man Steve Gold money. The man did I work at SSL?
But we've said this already that that the Prime Minister cannot be held responsibility for what took place in terms of an individual deciding to defraud their company and one of their clients. I don't know how the Prime Minister factors into that.
All right, hold on. PNP people have done to anybody else.
I wouldn't
Them
want to say
followers
that.
don't turn nobody else.
I wouldn't want to say that. I don't think any Jamaican is dunce, as you would put it. I think Jamaicans are.
Don't come and pretend nothing, brother.
But hold on, Bookman, because part of the problem that we have in politics and just generally on social media is the misinformation that goes around, whether by JLP individuals or PNP individuals. So we know the misinformation is going around. Traditional media, including us here at Nationwide, have made it very clear. So you can't really blame the media. You can't really even blame Mark Golding because the individuals are on social media spreading those lies.
Look here. Don't tell me you don't blame Mark Golding. They blame him. He's at the head of the PNP party right now. And
but you can't control everybody in his party and the surrogates, Bookman.
Look here. Not going to drop that rubbish. That's something what them doing a fuel. And you understand? And don't come out, never come out and say, don't say that thing there. All the man Steve vote, man. What nonsense is that?
But hear your part in all of this now. Those supporters of the JLP, you have to go out now and try to correct those things because you have people who will continue to spread misinformation right into the election.
Look here, hold on, man. I am not a worker of the JLP. I am not a charge member. I am not a person for the JLP.
All right.
The JLP I do, I prefer that.
All right.
Look how much work.
I hear you, Bookman.
Mata Samuda and the Prime Minister, them are dealing with right now for the country. And then one job at PNP in the power. For the two failed businessmen them come around the country, when they can't run two local business and for them business entity are shut down. You understand? I feel. And then want to come run this country bigger than that. But the man is still full of Dr. Clark run. Them said Dr. Clark T40 and run it down a fire. What's the nonsense to that?
I hear you, Bookman. I hear you. Carl, good evening.
Good evening, Trevor. Good evening.
Good evening, Carl.
Evening. How you doing? That's why me say, jam head, as Dennis Chung said, she lost credibility, and I'm still waiting upon that lady to step aside. Up to Friday, one comrade tell me, say, Andrew Steve, $3 trillion. And he comrade tell me, say, is them get that information from Jam.
I'm sure you set them straight, right, Carl?
Oh, God, man. I lean him up. Anyhow, Mr. Bunting should be calling Mr. Harris Chang every morning and congratulating Mr. Harris Chang that he is around for 8 years now and nobody not rob him like what did happen to him in Portland. Go and hold one like a corner. Go sit down in one like a corner like we have a cricketer in America. Don't bother to call him. Always, in time he talk any foolish, he say, go one side, go sit down there. Go Bunting, go sit down in one corner. Go sit down in one corner and watch how people run security. Go one side. You did have all things to your own and you could even secure yourself in a portal. Go one side, go sit down like a boy. Go one side. Come like when you lick so little picture, he says, go one side, go sit down, just tell me when time it's done, we call you back. That Mr. Champion now. But sit on one side. Anyhow, I heard Golding, the white man.
Carl, just say you heard the opposition leader, Mark Golding. Just leave it at that.
I heard Golding talk about economy and growth. Mm-hmm. And I am wondering, where was Golding in 18 and a half years? After 89 to 92, that was Eddie Seago was the head of the reign to 89, and the economy grew to 92 when the man where Golding take over and see now, Mr. Clark. was the Minister of Finance, and he left his seat and gave Golding. And after Omar Davis came, it was all negative growth up to when the JLP win back election 2011. Dispute that Golding. Come and dispute what I am. So hearing these little people now talking about growth. And I heard one little one was saying do farming down in a Clarendon here. His name Young Comrade. I talk about country going on.
Oh, Young Comrade come from Clarendon.
Ain't saying the
from my
farming
neck of the
down
woods.
here.
All right.
Ain't saying the farming, so we have to check it out because them can hardly believe now. Asking a couple of people in a Clarendon if you check out where him is doing farming. So we know almost everywhere in a Clarendon, and everybody can find where in Clarendon in doing farming. And he said the country are going to recession. But the Young Comrade doesn't understand. If the country should really go into recession, can say have 3 acres of cultivation. If you go into recession, Young Comrade, take teaching and understand. Whatever you are producing, you will have problem to sell it because nobody would have the purchasing power. I'm correct, sir?
Well, Carl, the country might be heading into a recession based on what happens for the fourth quarter of 2024, but we don't know where that situation is. But a recession does not necessarily mean the economy is died, because as I said, we suffered a significant shock. It is expected that there's going to be some impact on growth. It's just unavoidable. And every economist I have spoken to, and the PIOJ has said it, the Bank of Jamaica has said it, they expect in 2025 things to return to a growth. So
when he come Friday evening after me done that, he was the last caller. And all you are trying to teach him something. And he might tell you about budget now and go able to cost and all kind of rubbish. That's not how it occurred. That's why I went and them in a power and doesn't understand. Because when Nigel Clark did have the white paper inside 2020, 2021, 2022, Golding and Julian Robinson didn't understand what was on the white paper. And Golding come back with the same rubbish 2022, 2020, 2023, 2024 budget cycle. And was trying to mislead the country that the government put in new tax and all kind of different people have to come around and point it out to this white man that no, there is no new tax. Well, I'm going to give you something. When him Dayton Campbell was in somewhere in St. Elizabeth, must be Monday night or last night, and he said anytime them get back to power, them start return back with more tax to fund something else. Jamaica people, we are warning you tonight. Please,
Carl, I find that highly unlikely. I think
go check it.
But let me hear me out, Carl. I think the first government, whether JLP or PNP, that decides that they need to put an additional tax on the Jamaican people after the Jamaican people have gotten used to not having to deal with any additional taxation, they're going to have to come with a very, 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 very strong argument as to why that has to be.
Sanjay, see if you can get the clip of Dayton Campbell. That's when you talk tomorrow evening, you can tell me, say, Carl, I did not mislead you. Go and get it. And, when I get it, I send it into some more group that I into.
Oh, so I see Denzel M said that Dayton Campbell said they would be putting taxes on import goods.
Okay.
I didn't hear the clip, so I'm just saying I see what is being said here. I'll have to listen to that clip myself before I say that.
Go and listen to it very. I was to somebody where.
But to be fair, but let's be fair, Carl. He's saying taxes on import goods. That's technically not taxes on the Jamaican people.
But Sanjay, I am into politics now. I'm done a ricket now. So I have to spin. So if Dayton Campbell says something, I have to get it out to the rest of the...
So you're spinning, Carl. I thought you said...
That's my duty to get it out there. Because after when me do 9 years, You couldn't be seeking office and talking about tax. And that's what I want you to go and listen to it, Trevor. And Trevor, if you ever got tax, I cement. After when me do 8 years of no new tax, how can you be talking before you even get, if you should I get to office, you tell me say you want tax already. Jamaica people, wake up. Wake up. Remember, say, Peter.
I don't know how workable that is. I think foreign goods are considered quite heavily taxed in terms of comparative to the world market, and I believe that one of the reasons we had to address the issue of GCT on was it some I think GCT on foreign imports of some kind that the World Trade Organization kind of slap us on the wrist for doing that, because there has to be a justification in terms of the parity of taxation versus imports and exports. So I don't know how feasible Dr. Campbell's suggestion that they're just going to tax imported goods is going to be.
And other countries would definitely carry us to the WTO as it relates to that.
Siobhan,
because it has to be a fair playing field.
Siobhan, and listen, hit careful. After when we have 8 years of no new tax, you come a seek office and now tell me about tax already. Jamaica people, wake up. Wake up. This is the disaster a plan for us. Because we did face it already, 18.5 years. Wake up, Jamaica. Wake up.
All right, Carl, but still, have you ever accepted that you're spinning, because he's not actually said that he's taxing the Jamaican people, So Nationwide has to be fair in reporting.
I'm actually seeing the story, Siobhan. It's on Radio Jamaica. Yeah. And what he's saying is the PNP says it plans to impose a tax on imported foods to create a dedicated pool of funding that will help to develop the local agriculture sector when it forms the next government. That's from Radio Jamaica News.
And, well, as I said, we'll see how that works out, if it comes into place, and how that works out in terms of international trading partners. But
well, Kevin, me I tell you, from me start here about tax, and now it even get me working, that PJ Patterson tell me, saying, no white man must lead my country. No white man is leading my country.
All right, Kyle.
A black man country mean a black man time.
All right, Kyle.
No white man.
All right, Kyle. I'll let you have that one and leave you with that one. All right, Kyle. Mr. Portmore, good evening.
Good evening, Siobhan. And good evening to your co-host. I don't remember his name.
Sanjay.
Okay, Sanjay. This is Mr. Portmore, man. Sanjay, I'm going to tell you something, I don't know if you listened to Cliff today when he came on and he was talking about the economy and what used to happen years gone by when you never born, but I was around, compared to now. And let me tell you this. There's so much to talk about, When I listen to Bunting was the man who called for divine intervention, So how you must come talk now, say, you mustn't give the security minister his props. Whatever is due to Caesar must be given to Caesar. Mark Golding, hello, you see Mark Golding, we don't even want to hear his name card. I was in a car today, and somebody said, the conversation is big outer road, Where is Mark Golding's birth certificate? Who is pushing it? Who is pushing it? Nobody. Let me tell you something. You see, anytime it's a JLP problem, the whole station have it as up. But when it's a PNP problem, everybody cover it. And that's not fair. I'm not saying you, because Nationwide, trust me, I don't listen to any other station, straight Nationwide. You understand? And I encourage everybody. One thing I go and beg my Prime Minister, cut off, where you cut off from St. Catherine Southern. And we need you in St. Catherine Southern. Right now they add on Phoenix to St. Catherine Southern, and the constituency is too large. It needs to
give some serious attention. I understand?
And that's the constituency represented by, if my memory serves me correct, Fitzjackson.
Fitzjackson, yes.
Yeah.
With Andrew Weekly.
That's not
That's
not
not
St. Catherine
Southern.
Huh?
That's not South St. Catherine.
No, St. Catherine Southern is with Fitzjackson.
Yes.
And my
is South Central St. Catherine.
Yes.
South Central.
Yes.
Man, I think it's St. Catherine Southern.
No, I can tell you clearly South St. Catherine is Fitzjackson and South Central is Andrew Weekly.
Is Andrew Weekly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What I'm saying about Andrew Weekly now. The other day when Ono put on a surprise for Cliff Hughes and him walk in, if Ono did buy anything or set up anything, Cliff Hughes would have known about it.
I'm trying to. What do you mean? If we buy something, or what do you mean?
Whatever Ono put on for Cliff Hughes on his surprise birthday, when him come in and Ono said surprise, and Cliff was dumbstruck, and him even said, "But it's not my birthday." Ono remember that?
Yes, I recall.
My point is, when Andrew Weekly was given the birthday party, was Andrew Weekly involved in the actual planning of that party, buying cake, buying whiskey, wine, and all of these things?
No, and I know, and I don't believe the report ever suggested he did.
So why the PNP? Because it was the PNP who pushed it, and caused my Prime Minister to run him from his ministry. And I think it is unfair. It is so unfair and unjust. You see, let me tell you something, You see the JLP always get a battering, and they are the ones who are doing so well in this country. They are so magnificent in this country. And as Cliff Hughes said, we cannot go back where we're coming from. The world is bigging up Andrew Holness, while Jamaica tear him down. It reminds me of when Jesus had come on earth. And when them old Jesus and said them are going to sacrifice him or whatever them are going to do, they went to Pontius Pilate and them said, which one you want, Jesus or Barabbas?
Though, Mr. Portmore, I just want to say something, though, because one of the features of the Westminster system that we practice here in Jamaica is about accepting responsibility. And the matter with Andrew Weekly, it's not only about that birthday party, but other stuff involved. And if you look at the UK, for example, you have MPs, ministers resigning for less than what we saw have happened in Jamaica. And I remember specifically Matt Hancock, who was the British Health Minister. He was forced to resign, and he resigned in 2021 for breaching his own social distancing rules during the pandemic. So I'm saying that to say that there's a higher level of accountability that is placed on parliamentarians. It's just unfortunately in Jamaica, the bar is so low that we question when individuals resign. I just want to put that out there.
I understand that clearly, but my recollection is, right?
But Carla, to Sanjay's point, even though...
Maybe there were other stuff, but the most important ones that they put out and tried to downplay Andrew was the birthday party and the cake that was bought. The cake. Yes, the cake was...
honestly, Carl, I think that was the least of it. There were other concerns raised in terms of the individuals that Wheatley put in place at Petrojam and other areas that really brought concern to the Jamaican people. And I don't think Wheatley was forced to resign on the basis of the birthday party. It was on the fact that it was felt that the individuals he put in place put the Holness administration in a bad light.
Yes.
And you have to be responsible for your portfolio. It's really just comes down to that.
I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my mind about around all of the happenings that took place. But what was outstanding to me was the birthday party.
And I don't think, as Siobhan indicated, that was the main basis for him being asked to step aside, or in a sense being fired. He was the head of the ministry. And it's all about accountability. The buck stops with the minister. You select these individuals in various capacities, and they have run afoul of certain things. And as such, you now have to take the responsibility and step aside. It's just responsibility, taking accountability.
I hear you on that note.
I don't think it's so much the birthday party, man. Yeah, no, sir.
Oh boy. Well, one thing I would love to ask my Prime Minister still, the seat, St. Catherine Southern, I would love for him to hurry up and get it cut, because there are over 40,000 people in St. Catherine Southern, and I think it's time that we get it. I think everything has been done, and we should have been hearing that it's being cut. We should have.
All right, that sounds like a matter for the ECJ, but thank you, caller. Well, we're going to take a short break, listeners, and come back with more of your calls. As I said, the numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
Enjoy the best coverage for the things you own and those you care about. Protect what matters most with life, health, and general insurance. The time by Sagicor Life and Advantage General is
7:38. Welcome back, listeners, for Nationwide at 5. It's 7:38, and we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. And facts, yes, I see you on YouTube. You didn't have to spam it 6,000 times. But yes, those individuals did win a court case, but it does not change the fact that there were still, based on the reports from the Integrity Commission, some very serious concerns raised about how Petrojam was being managed. Otherwise, why would Favour Williams need to go over there and essentially restructure the energy portfolio and make some corrective measures at Petrojam if it was completely unnecessary? So winning a court case does not mean you are unaccountable in terms of other actions taken. But thank you for bringing up that, yes, that those two individuals did succeed in a court battle recently in terms of criminal charges. Cleveland, good evening.
Hi, Stefan. How you do? Hello.
Doing quite well.
Hi, Cleveland. Good evening.
Happy New Year, and Sanjay.
Yeah, hi, Cleveland. How you do? Happy New Year.
Talk to your people. Yes, I think so. As Sanjay was saying, our bar here set low.
Yeah, man, very low.
But in the politics, it is high for the JLP and low for the PNP.
Right, it's still low, Cleveland. We really need to raise that bar, and what we expect of our politicians.
Yes. Mr. Golden.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for him to understand. We want to hear some sensible argument from him, He can't just go around and just have the blah, 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 all over the place. I hate to watch him on TV, May I tell you the God truth. Because I can't understand some of the things them is saying. Him not putting forward no proper plan to run this country. It's not like his business,
Mm-hmm.
As I said, Cleveland, a while back, the hour is upon us. And while I understand that the whole matter of poking them where it hurts, so to speak, I don't know if that's going to, when budget time come, be effective enough to guarantee that the People's National Party takes control of Gordon House without them providing a little bit more than what they're providing now in terms of we'll grow the economy. How? We're going to crush crime. How?
Oh.
So I would love to hear more, and I think the hour is upon us.
The way I'm going around and talking down to people, talking to the country that way, it don't look good. It don't look good, sir.
Cleveland, here's Pat. Here is something that I've said it on air before, Cleveland, and people have dismissed what I have said. But I know you're a rational individual.
Yes,
when we look just generally on what is happening in the country, and Mr. Golden making his rounds, etc. And we hear those who support the JLP indicating that Mr. Golden is not coming forward with anything that is feasible, so to speak, or telling us his plan. Why is it that when we look on the polls, Cleveland, Mr. Golden seems to be performing better than he has been performing when compared to the previous 6 or 12 months?
Because there's an air of discontent.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
So in essence, then, the message, is it a situation maybe that people are not necessarily happy to vote for Mr. Golden, but they are still not happy with the JLP? And my question is, why? And what is the JLP doing to correct that? Because the PNP, clearly, they have seen a gap, and they are playing on that gap.
Sanjay, I don't believe the poll. There's so much things that happen during this poll time that the whole people talk about it. Because them poll against them own self, and people come publicly and say the poll not right.
But Cleveland, even our polls suggest that the parties are quite close. It's a little
wrong,
dated now, and
wrong,
I'm sure one more is,
wrong.
I'm sure more newer one is coming. But even our poll suggested the party standings are quite close.
There's something wrong with these poll people. Wrong.
All right. So even if we're discrediting the polls, Cleveland, let's look at the local government election. The PNP performed better than was expected by many, and the polls did indicate that they would perform better than we expected.
Sanjay. Then but talk about the local government election.
So what happened then?
Some whole heap of money spent. Some whole heap and them pick the areas where they want to spend the money. So it worked for them. But Mr. Golden is talking about the job, the Prime Minister portfolio. Job, what it means, job creation, or it's abysmal.
Economic growth and job creation.
Yes, failure. And at the same time, him saying that Mr. Holness is turning on water in Port Royal. Huh? That comes from his ministry, don't it?
Yes.
And Mr. Holness go around and opening up a lot of different infrastructure places come from his portfolio. So how am I going to say it's abysmal failure?
But Cleveland, that is what the opposition will do. The opposition will try and show the negatives in everything. It's politics. You know this.
Well, boy, let me tell you something. If should in case Mr. Golden take over government, anytime I see him on TV, me lock him off. I don't think him present himself properly to this.
You have that prerogative, Cleveland. You have that prerogative.
I'm not presenting himself properly. Me no racial, but me believe personally, he shouldn't be leading a political party in this country. I don't think so. And it looked bad on the PNP that them have to end up the way they do people with eye color. I want to say especially Mr. Seago, because they keep pointing finger at a lot of the JLP people, them, who brown from who black and what have you. And I don't think him should really, it's so bad that the PNP couldn't find somebody else different from out of the group of them to lead their party, and if anything, to lead this country as Prime Minister. I'll never accept that. Anyhow, take care of yourself.
Have a good night, Sanjay.
All right, Cleveland, have a good one.
Errol, good evening.
Bless up.
How you doing, Errol?
How you doing, Errol?
Wow, Siobhan.
Doing all right.
Sanjay.
Yeah, man. How you doing? Me there.
Yeah, you know. Right now, me feel to myself, Mr. Golden has to leave. I'm going to know what you call now, man.
Why is
I
it?
sleep him, I sleep, because him can't see what go on. That's him dark stupidness. But job creation now benefit this. And job work now water in a Philippa River. The people them welcome and glad for. Well, how much year them never get water. You never listen to people talk this evening. Look how much thing the government are doing. Employ
people is the lowest ever been in history. And this man are going to chat rubbish and talk. Let me tell him, man, this man now going to win, man. So we now watch him talk. We now watch him poll. This election, a 3-term election, this Sanjay. You watch and see. Remember me, Errol tell you tonight.
All right, Errol.
Errol?
But now watch a little local government. No people don't take that serious.
So you take the general serious, though?
You know, must.
No.
What do you, brother? We take the general serious.
Mm-hmm.
So, all them are talking on the date now. Look here. You see when we beat him, if Peter Bunting get a seat, if he get a seat, that he might come back seat, you know. And the really Mark Golding, you know, so Peter Bunting get beat out, make it seem he run, come back, you know. He might put Mark Golding to catch it up for you, understand?
So what do you think? If let's say Mark Golding loses the general election, you think that there's going to be a contest and Peter Bunting is going to run for party president?
But Peter Bunting will have to get a seat.
Mm.
So if he can get a seat.
Well, him now have to get a seat, you know, because being party president doesn't necessarily mean that you must have a seat in the parliament.
Yeah,
it's
but
just
it'd be highly unlikely.
Yeah, but it will be. No. I just wanted to put that out there. But we know traditionally the party leader must have a seat. So it will be highly unlikely that the party leader doesn't have a seat in the parliament.
Well, if we put him in a sure seat, probably I'm not going to step down and put him all a jungle. You get me? Yeah, but then I'm a Bunting wants it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So just watch and remember what I tell you. Sanjay and thing there. Just look out. But don't worry, man.
We'll see. In a couple of months, we will see what happens.
You will see what go on in a couple of months. Just wait till the budget read. When the budget read, you will and you will no. You hear, sir?
All right, so we'll watch and see.
You know, sorry, when you talk about the air of discontent, you know, I think all that is happening up to this point in politics will be of little relevance after the budget is read. I think that is when you're going to get a real gauge as to how the Jamaican people feel about either political party, one way or the other. And as I said, the hour is upon us. If the budget is crafted in such a way that it satisfies, as the Spark and Reach program are now doing, which is satisfying a lot of the discontent that many Jamaicans have. If that budget is crafted in such a way that it satisfies much of the discontent Jamaicans have, Mark Golding will have to bring more than, well, Andrew Holness is this and Andrew Holness is that.
I will say, though, Siobhan, it's going to take a little bit more than that. And part of the challenge that I've seen just generally is in the respective constituencies. There's one thing to watch what is happening on social media, but it's also important that the foot soldiers are on the ground selling the message for the respective political parties. So yes, on a broader level, what happens when the budget is read is important, but also the work that both parties will do in the field, on the ground, is going to be impactful to what we will see that will happen when election day comes before us.
As I said, all politics are local.
Yeah, man.
But as I said, I went to Clarendon over the Christmas period and just did a chatting with the people down there, and they're quite they're not the happiest they've ever been, but they've quite seen the work being done in the constituency in terms of the roads getting paved and other issues. They would like to have some water in their pipes as well down there. But the people on the ground, at least for the Jamaica Labour Party, are trying to put in the effort, at least where I saw down there in Clarendon. And it is, I'm assuming the same is being done now amongst the JLP across other constituencies, and where they're weak in terms of the individual at the helm. I see where the JLP is trying to change out individuals they feel are not performing up to standard. So I feel that what we're witnessing now is going to be dramatically shifted once we're closer to a date of the election and once the budget has been read and the party, as in the JLP, hit the ground proper running.
Well, let's see.
Alric, good evening.
Even Sevan, even Sanjay.
Hello, Alric. Good evening.
Oh, no.
Good, you know.
The time is running out. I've been waiting a while. I just want to ask a few questions. In both political parties, when you are sent to be the Minister of National Security, it has been bandied about over the years that is the end of your political career, right?
No, it's considered a very much almost death sentence. Even
it's a graveyard position.
Even Peter Bunting, when asked recently, suggested it's not a position he envies being in.
That is why I'm going there, because he was, and he failed miserably because he asked for divine intervention. But I heard him on the radio, and he was saying if he had the amount of money that Dr. Chang has to spend, you would have done a lot better than Dr. Chang has done. But what I'd like to ask him, over the period of time and him leading up to when he became minister, if it wasn't his government in power, and we had no growth, we were taxing the people every budget, and there was no money that we had to do anything. The police stations, a lot of the bathrooms are outside, the police stations were decaying, no vehicle. No. This government has found themselves in a position where they're getting new vehicles, improving the police stations, improve the police salary to a point, and give kudos to the last commissioner and then down to this one. But Dr. Chang is the policy maker. Why not give him some credit for what he has done?
Well, he would have gotten the blame immediately if it was going in the other direction. So he has to.
They would have called for his resignation
and have called for his resignation over the years based on certain issues.
You know why you won't see that, Alric? Politics.
A very respected person and a highly trained person. You don't have to come out and praise him, say yes, but before you say him not do nothing good, as my grandmother would say, if you don't have anything good to say about anybody, you better you not say nothing at all.
Is the politics of it, you know, because you will expect that whoever is in opposition, they're gonna try and paint doom and gloom, and it's unfortunate that we have not progressed as politicians as a country to commend individuals when they do something that is right. We're not going to see happening.
But Sanjay, here's the thing.
You can't preach doom and gloom when everybody is seeing differently.
The doom and gloom aside, this is something that I found probably a problem I've had with Peter Bunting's style when it comes to the matter of the national security portfolio. He always references it in terms of his accomplishment, not his party's accomplishment, not his government's accomplishment, but his accomplishment. And then he goes on to say that if he was there, he would do better. Not to say that if the PNP was in power, as most people do, give their party a collective boost. He always references it in terms of himself specifically. And I've always found that troubling. Why he seems to elevate himself above his party when it comes to the matter of national security, rather than just say collectively, if the governing PNP was in power, this is what we would have done, and this is what we had done. But he always puts it in the when I was national security minister. If I was national security minister. I've always found that strange.
I would have done this and I would have done that. He mustn't do that, man. He's a well-respected person, a highly trained person, a highly trained businessman. Him sound too selfish. It's just me, myself, and I. Him doing business with him party. Collectively, him doing say the party. It's just him, and it must come better than that. People have a lot of respect for him. He must make people lose it. Sometimes you have to take out the politics and just start the truth. That's it.
All right.
It's just the truth, man. Dr. Chang has been doing well as the person who is running the ship, and the commissioner and his team. I must congratulate them. They have done pretty well, pretty well in the last couple of years, and we need them to improve on that this year.
All right.
Eric,
you're the last caller. Good evening.
Good evening, Sanjay. Good evening, Shavan, and good evening to your listeners.
Good evening, Eric.
It is the very first time I'm calling you, but I'm on the list of Nationwide. I'm a family that you don't know, you know.
Wonderful. Thank you.
But, you know, I heard Mr. Golden this morning on a news clip. He was saying that the government deliberately embarking on big projects to fleece, don't take exact word, to fleece or to thief money from the project. Somebody must be asking Mr. Golden to come up with the proof. And if there is not a proof to coincide what he's saying, he must resign. As somebody who wants to lead this country, to speak so recklessly, what say you? Hello?
Sanjay?
Well, what I will say is that we have to, as a people, just generally, we have to demand more from our leaders. And if you are going to make certain statements, it is important that you have the facts to support the statements that you provide to us.
Yes, and he said deliberately. That means to say you have some facts. So come up with the facts and put it on the table. And let somebody be held responsible. But if you don't have the facts, as somebody who aspires to lead this country, a leader of a big party, no, we can't speak so loosely. No, man, somebody must ask him to come up with the facts. And if he cannot come up with the facts, he must retract the statement and apologize or resign.
And we know that's not going to happen. No?
That's not going to happen, though. But I agree that generally speaking, leaders, politicians have to be responsible when they make certain statements, especially when you know you have your followers, that when you make certain statements, they're going to take it away as gospel and spread those information that, you know, as you indicated, can be inaccurate at times.
Well, Sanjay, it is the politically silly season. As we get closer and closer to that date, it is only going to get worse.
Yep.
But we'll have to leave it there. Callers, listeners, and YouTubers, thank you for joining us. Marigold Weber, Betsy Powell, Josephine Fax, Denzel M, Sharon Griffiths, Principal, Booker T, Gloria, Pat Brown. Thank you for joining us on this journey as usual. Thanks to Abigail Bartley, who filled in for the producer this evening, or super tech up Andrew the Glenn Tuggs Anderson, and my news and production team led by the capable Cara Powell. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, wishing for you a wonderful evening. We'll be back tomorrow.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is
7:59.
Since 1995, we've been